So this right here is a 48 volt lithium iron phosphate server rack battery from AOLITHIUM, all right? And the reason we have these is because they were a really good deal right around Black Friday of 2023. And because they were such a good deal, we said, hey, we should go and pick them up, okay? And it's kind of why we're doing a review of this video, or this battery today, mainly because there aren't any or a lot of good reviews on these batteries, which is why we're having this video today. So before you go ahead and say, oh, you guys got all these special discounts and stuff like that, that is not true. If you go and just Google around looking for them and stuff like that, you'll find out these batteries are going for to the general public for under $1,000 right around Black Friday of 2023. And we did not contact them. They did not contact us. We have no relation to them. We just came across them on the website and said, hey, that's a good deal. We should go buy them, okay? And if you calculate kilowatt hours, or how much it costs per kilowatt hour, it's a great deal, which is kind of why we picked up a couple of these to add to our system, okay? So if you're interested in figuring out if these are good or not, or if you really just want to know more about these, stick with us. All right, so this right here is obviously the AOLITHIUM 51.2 server rack battery. Let's go over some of the quick specs, okay? So I'm just only gonna go over the parts I think are really important that you really need to know, and all the stuff that isn't too obvious, okay? First of all, when you buy this battery, you can buy it in different configuration, and you can figure that out on the website. You can buy like 2 or 3 sets or whatnot. It'll come with parallel cables and longer charge and discharge cable and stuff like that. But the way I would recommend you buy it, and which is the way I bought it, even if you have to create multiple orders to get it this way, is you get a single battery with the full length charge and discharge cable for each battery. So instead of buying a set of 4 with 1 set of charge and discharge cables and a whole bunch of parallel cables, I would say just buy single or 4 single units, okay? Because when you buy the single units, this is what you get, okay? When you buy the single units, what you will get is a bag, and inside the bag there will be a lot of cables and stuff. So inside of each bag, when you buy one of these, there are plus charge and discharge cables, which look exactly like this. Obviously the black one is for negative, and this orange one is for positive, and this is a communications cable, and you also get 2 tiny parallel cables, okay? I don't know where I put them, maybe I'm using them or something. But the point is, if you buy 4 batteries this way, you will get 4 sets of these cables, right? If you buy 6 individual sets, you get 6 sets of these cables. And the reason why I would recommend you do that instead of buying a kit of 6, which only gives you 1 set of these cables, is mainly because the way you primarily connect to this battery is these connectors here, okay? And this is going to be what I would call probably the biggest downside to this battery, okay? So if you look at this connector, it's probably some kind of connector you probably have never seen before, mainly because this, I believe, is what you call a FSP 6.0 connector. And this FSP 6.0 connector, I think spec-wise, is rated for 125 amps continuous. And although this connection may be waterproof, I don't think that really matters or counts in this case, because even if this connection here is waterproof, this battery is not waterproof. So there's really no point in this connection being waterproof, because it just doesn't make that much sense. Even if you have it in a marine environment or whatnot, and you're worried about, you know, the water getting in between the connections, you're gonna have a much bigger problem with water getting in between these cracks here than these connections. Now I'm gonna go ahead and say that's probably the biggest downside to this system, okay? So if you go ahead and open this up, what you'll find out is that these two are pretty much connected in parallel. So whichever way you want to configure, you know, if you want to connect this positive stop or positive cable to this, right, and you got to push it in until it clicks, and when it clicks, it means it's locked in. Once it's locked in, there is a little bit of movement for it to index and turn, and there is a positive indexing location. As you can see here, if I put it here, it'll stay there. Same with the negative, and you can connect them in either way. You can put this here and make this work in that way if you needed to. But like I said, the biggest downside is mainly those two being what I would call the FSP 6.0 connectors. And the reason I'm saying that is mainly because this is kind of like a uncommon, or what do you call it? it's not a very common connector. You're going to go to your parts store and just pick it up, okay? Even if they put Speak-On or TrueCon connectors in there, that wouldn't also be that common. But you would much rather prefer those Speak-On or Amphenol connectors or whatever that you put on there, mainly because you can pick them up at Parts Express or any general place you can get those connectors. But these connectors, I believe, and I could be wrong on this, is that you can only find these connectors in China. Okay, so that doesn't help the people that are not located on mainland China or anywhere near China, because I tried to find a way to order these connectors and you just can't get them. Okay, and the real reason you need to do that is because these cables that it comes with are 3-gauge cables. That's 3 AWG, in case you weren't sure what that meant, cables. And these cables may be, I forgot what they're rated for, maybe around 125 amps or something like that, or maybe less. But if you want to connect, let's say 2 or 3 of these, if you want to pull maximum out of that, let's say you connect the 2 of these in parallel, when you pull 200 amps out of that, these cables are not going to be rated to do that, okay? So even if you connect a bunch of them in parallel, you can't really get the power out of it using these connectors. And that's kind of why I'm saying you really should order each one of these batteries with the full length set of these, mainly because the way we're going to work around that, and I'll show you how to do that later, okay? And it'll become really important on why you should do that. So another thing I will go ahead and tell you is, if you did want to fix this problem or mediate this problem, which I think not too many people are going to want to do, mainly because you want it plug and play and you want it like a commodity, is that you could probably take this off, and then you could replace these connections with all Amphenol connectors in case you wanted to do that, but or like connector lugs if you wanted to do that too. But that's a lot of work, and I found a way to just work around it without having to do that. But it is possible to do that if you are willing to do the work, okay? So with that being said, let me go ahead and talk about the other important parts of the battery. So this battery right now is not on, which means there's no voltage to these, okay? As soon as you hit this on, the BMS will come on, okay? And as the BMS powers on, goes through its cycle, goes through its charge resistor and that charge up state or pre-charge state, it will go ahead and do all of that. And as it's running, this run light will be on. Also, this has a really nice BMS system, and this BMS system also has the LED to it. And this LED has all kinds of menus and things you can connect to that go ahead and tell you, pretty much, your battery voltage, your battery status, the all kinds of version numbers of the BMS and all that kind of stuff. So pretty much the same battery BMS system that's on a lot of higher end server rack batteries. So this is nice also because this BMS system will also tell you how much is going into the battery or how much is coming out of the battery in amps, okay? So that is a really nice feature to have, especially at a battery price point of less than $1,000 for a 5 kilowatt hour pack, okay? So enough on that. But with that being said, it's got 4 state of charge indicators, pretty standard. It's got an alarm just in case you run into a fault code. It's got this run light, and it's got 6 dip switches, and it's also got these dry contacts here. It's got CAN bus and 485 bus and all these connectors in case you wanted to connect a bunch of these and use it. I'm going to go ahead and tell you I was unsuccessful in getting communications working between this and the 6500 EG4 6500EX. I do believe on the forums I've seen people say that they were able to get this battery or sets of these batteries connected to like their 6000 XP or was it the 18K or whatnot by playing with dip switch number 5 and putting dip switch number 5 up and then setting the inverter to lithium 0 whatnot to make that work. I personally did not do that, but I'm just telling you what we read on the forum. All right, so before we go ahead and put this back into the system, let's go ahead and talk about the way that this battery connection thing works just again real quick, okay? First of all, this battery will support 100 continuous amps output, but it will not support 100 continuous amps input. The maximum continuous charge current for this battery is 50 amps. So make sure you keep that in mind if you're designing a system, mainly because that's what happens, all right? So also, when you buy this battery, it will come in this really nice box. It's kind of like a basswood type box, and the box is reinforced this way. And I would say out of all the batteries that we've bought ever, this is probably the best shipping system that they kind of come up with because they pretty much put as many of these batteries they can fit on a crate. are in these boxes, and they put that on a pallet, okay? So there's no way these batteries, I think, are going to be damaged, especially since this is like basswood plywood, and these corners are reinforced with staples, and then you got to take it off to get it in, as you may have seen as we were opening the video, okay? So let's go ahead and tell you, I'll talk to you a little bit about the system that I'm using this in, and then we'll go ahead and go take a look at the system. So the system I currently have, or that's in use right now, is going to be the 6000 XP system with EG4 batteries, which have communication set up to them, okay? And this system, what I pretty much have is this set of these batteries just supplementing power into the battery bank. And the way we have that is by connecting two of the batteries in parallel using parallel cables, and then using one set of full discharge and charge cables out of each battery and connecting to a battery bus, which connects all the batteries together. So theoretically speaking, yes, I will not technically exceed the maximum charge and discharge current of the cables, mainly because I know what the system is going to be possible to draw at a max. But that's the way I've kind of had the system working, mainly because, you know, just everything's always up in flux here. So the main reason I'm also telling you about these cables is because I think the best way to use these batteries is not the way I'm using it, but it's also pretty much the way of get each one of these and then hook the end of these lugs into a bus bar of every single battery you have, okay? And then if you hook all of those to a bus bar in every single battery you have, then pretty much every single battery will be able to operate in a way technically independently than every other battery, because they're not going to be connected by parallel using these lugs, but they will be connected in parallel using one set of terminals and cables. I'm hoping that makes sense, okay? Mainly because that way you will be able to get the maximum input and discharge from this battery without technically causing a fire with this, because this cable is only rated for about 125 amps max, I think. And just in case you missed it, I think the connector name is FSP 6.0, and I just don't want to deal the work of replacing all of these connectors to make that happen, because that just kind of degrades the value I'm getting from these batteries by having them just plug and play and making that work, okay? So in my case, like I said, I put two in parallel and then put one discharge current, mainly because I don't want a ton of cables everywhere, but you know, that's what it is, okay? And I do not have communication set up with this and the EG4 batteries, because the EG4 batteries are kind of closed loop to themselves, and these are kind of closed loop in a way to themselves, and you can't really connect both of those like that. But if it had another, let's say 6000 XP, you could probably connect all of these to that 6000 XP, but that's not the case. So with that being said, let's go take a look at the system. All right, so for the last few months, that battery that we were just looking at was connected right here in this spot, okay? So I technically right now have 4 of these batteries, and the way that they're configured, as I was just talking to you about, and we've been using it pretty well like this for the last 6 months and had no issue. Earlier, I don't know if I said 6500 or 6000 XP, but earlier the system I used to have is a single 6500 that was set up here, and that one worked really well. And just, you know, going on an off trail here, that one had no issues. I had no issues with that. My only problem with that was I needed 2 of those units to get 240, and I really wanted to get 240 without having 2 units, so I took that system out, and now we're only using the 6000 XP system, okay? So I did want to go ahead and say these batteries work really well with the 6500 EX also, but I'm going to go ahead and mainly only talk about the 6000 XP, okay? So like I mentioned to you earlier, the way I have it set up right now is I have 2 of these batteries pretty much acting as one unit by connecting the batteries in parallel here using the parallel cables that you get like this, right? And then connecting the charge and discharge cables right here, coming out of here and kind of going into this Lynx power in from Victron, okay? So the way you look at it here, I probably should run better cable management, is that if you look at it this way, this cable right here is my stack of EG4 LiFePO4 batteries, and each one of these is pretty much one set of these, okay? So I have, you know, 2 cables coming in here from this battery, and then have this cables coming in here from pretty much here, okay? So that way I can kind of theoretically, I can add more. You can always add, almost an infinite amount as you add more and more of these units. But the way I have it set up, I just was trying to figure out if it works or not, and that's kind of the way it works, okay? So the way I have these laid out is facing upwards, and I do kind of have them secure to each other to act as one big, so, one doesn't just tip over, is by using just these rack ears and just mounting all the screws to the rack ears, okay? So obviously the larger this is, the more difficult it is going to be for the entire unit to flip over or tip over or any one of them to fall over, right? So that's just something we just hacked up here. I'm not sure if I covered it, but also these rack ears that are on the batteries are actually welded to the battery casing out of the box, okay? So it's not like screws that you have to put in with the LiFePO4 batteries or anything like that. They're actually welded in place. So this entire setup seems really secure, okay? So with that being said, let's go ahead and tell you how this system works right now. Like I said, all the batteries come in there. They all come out of here. And then let me turn the camera around just a little bit, and you will see they come out of the links power in and then kind of move up to this 6000 XP into this power distribution box, okay? And this is a off-grid 6000 XP system, and it can run 240, and it does run 240 and runs the mini split really well. But the way I've kind of supplemented power or getting these to work in junction with the LiFePO4 battery stack I have is by using that Victron power in unit right there. And that's a really nice unit. Okay, I do want to go ahead and shout out to Victron for making that unit. No, they did not sponsor this. I just want to point out that's a really nice unit. So if you wanted to buy or use these systems or these batteries with a system that you kind of already have in place, I would highly recommend doing it this way. In order to maximize, like I said, the power going in and out of the batteries, you probably want to connect each one of these batteries independently to the Victron Links power in, but I've connected two of them to a single one because, like I said, I know the capacity of the system, okay? So with that being said, I am going to go ahead and talk about a little bit of current sharing issues, but you're definitely going to have to take that with a grain of salt, mainly because of the way the system is designed. But I will go ahead and tell you, just by looking at the latest power settings from here, let's see if I can bring you in closer and take a look at it. You'll see that by looking at this power settings, you'll see right here, this is at 77%. This one here is at 78%. And this one here, not sure if you can see it very well, is at 59%. And they're all connected, technically parallel here, but they're all taking like different, what do you call it, resistance routes to the batteries, okay? So these two actually are almost always in sync, or very close to being in sync. Like I said, 78 and 77. But this one, it's 59, and it may be because I don't have the second battery here, but what I've noticed, even with that second battery here, is that these two units will not always be very close. One will be, I'm just making up numbers here, like 60, another one will be like 80 something. It may be because they need more cycling, but like I said, I've had the batteries for over a couple weeks and maybe a few months, and they've been cycling all this time. But it may also just be to the way of the current sharing issues designed with the power cables to the system. Okay. All right, so that's pretty much the ins and outs of this battery. I'm going to go ahead and get this battery reconnected back up to the old system after I get it charged up to pretty much the same state of charge. But the point is, these batteries right now, in the last 2 to 3 months that I've had them and used them and cycled them pretty much almost every day, have been really good. Haven't had any issues so far. So technically speaking, I think they say these batteries are warranted for about 15 years. I'm not sure how long this AOLITHIUM company is going to be around to be able to warranty this kind of stuff or whatnot. But a battery that's technically warranted for 15 years using, was it like 16 of the best-in-class EVE cells and stuff like that. They have a really nice casing. This casing is solid, welded, ear racks, the way they ship it, everything of this battery just screams high class or high quality, right? The only downside I really do not like with the system is these connectors, okay? The cables that it comes with are okay. I think the qualities of the cables kind of remind me of EV or hybrid cables, because I've worked on a Prius and also a Nissan Leaf, and they look and feel almost exactly like these cables, and even on the cable it even says EV. So I'm not sure if that's the type of cable they're using, but I do think the cables themselves, the quality, the connection mechanism, I would say is, it's okay. If you're just looking for one battery to plug and play, that's that's great, but I'd say that could definitely use an overhaul. Other than that, like I said, it seems to be a high quality battery. Have had it so far, no issues. If we do run into any type of issue, we'll go ahead and post it on the channel and see if you can come up, if you guys care about that kind of stuff. But would I recommend buying this battery? Let's go and talk about that. So like I said, I bought all of these batteries, but we bought them at a price of under $1,000 each, okay? Would I go ahead and buy these batteries again for under $1,000? Definitely yes, without a question. If they went on sale for anywhere close to $1,000, I would go pick them up in a heartbeat, okay? Mainly because even the cheapest server rack, or let's just say the cheapest mainstream brand with quality, I would say some level of quality, right? Knowing what you would expect of server rack batteries, I think right now technically are the EG4 LiFePO4s, okay? No, they do not sponsor this video. We're not related to them anyway either. And I think they generally go for around $1,300 to $1,400, so somewhere around that price range. And they don't even come with, I think, connectors, okay? So this actually comes with this. But the point I'm saying is that this is way less, a couple $100 less than that. So I'll definitely pick these up. The only downside, like I mentioned, is the connectors, okay? So would I go out and buy it again at full retail price? And I think full retail price is somewhere around $2,000. I'm going to go ahead and say definitely not, mainly because for a couple $100 less per battery, you can get LiFePO4 batteries, okay, or any other type of server rack batteries, even like the SOK batteries or the trophy rack batteries. They're going to be less than $1,000 or less than $2,000, right? So for retail price, I will not buy these again, but for sale price, we'll definitely buy them again. So hopefully this video helped you guys. If any questions, let us know. Otherwise, have a great day, and I'll see you guys next time.